All right, everybody. My name is Matt Gerber. I'm the Director of Business Relationships here at the Diamond Allegiance. Proud to welcome Coach Erik Bakich, head coach at Clemson University. Coach, thanks for being with us here tonight.
Good to be here, Matt. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So obviously, we've worked kind of closely together over the last 18 months or so, developing this thing called Curve. Just shortly, quickly for our attendees, Curve is the backbone to the player development arm of the Diamond Allegiance. The Diamond Allegiance, one of our stated goals is to reimagine travel baseball. And I think one thing that, along with our advisory board, Coach Bakich, Coach O'Sullivan, Coach Tracy Smith at Michigan, and Coach Pat Casey, we've identified is that we want to really help our member organizations scale their player development and really provide high-level coaching across the board for every kid, whether they're the kid that's coming to Clemson to play for Coach Bakich, get drafted in the first round, or the kid that's trying to make his high school baseball team or just get to the whatever his next level is. So Coach Bakich is the brains and the mind behind Curve. So I'm going to let Coach Bakich kind of take the stage here, ask some questions as we go along. But Erik, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with the group, what is Curve in your mind, and why did you want to get involved in this?
Well, yeah, thanks for that. I got involved, Matt, on the foundation side a couple of years ago, just because, I was a financial aid kid. I was a kid that, wouldn't have been able to afford travel ball the way travel ball is today. And so, our sport now has a little bit of a cost problem. It already costs a lot to just participate with the cost of the equipment, but now cost of participation is driving a lot of families into other sports that are cheaper to play. And so we're losing a lot of the best athletes at a young age, kind of that transition period, moving from small field to big field when the travel ball world really heats up once you get into, past Little League, really. So, for me, it was a passion of trying to help a lot of underprivileged kids see that baseball is a great option, especially, not only because it's a great sport, but they could use their athleticism to create opportunities beyond high school and get a college education. And so starting with that and then transitioning into the player development side of Curve, that's a passion. Player development's been a passion for a long time. Like you just said about 2 seconds ago, every kid has his next level, and that next level, whether it's being a starter on varsity or playing collegiately, that's really what, if every kid has that opportunity to find that next level, stay connected to baseball, help unlock their potential, you keep more people engaged in the game, you grow our game. But it's something where if you could get more kids continuing to want to play beyond high school and use baseball as that avenue to get them to get a college education, it's very few and far between that can truly make a career out of playing baseball. And we obviously want as many to be able to do that and achieve that childhood dream as possible and play in the major leagues. But the reality is it's just really hard, and it's a very competitive environment out there. So if you can use your baseball ability or use your athletic ability to get a college education, I just think that's really what the goal is going to be for a lot of the players that are playing travel ball at the amateur age. And we just happen to be in a time and this information age where there's so much information at the tip of everyone's fingers with cell phones and internet and you name it, that it's a very confusing time to be in the baseball world. And you think about the progression of how baseball has and baseball development has transpired, back when, 20, 30 years ago, it was all about the fitness revolution and everyone just get bigger, faster, stronger. And then kind of you see the Oakland A's and the Moneyball era spawn in the early 2000s. And now everybody's looking at different types of statistics and sabermetrics. And now we've kind of entered into this technology boom where it's it's radar systems, and it's bat sensors, and it's ball flight analytics and 3D motion capture. And so it's a lot of really confusing and advanced terminology that as a young player, and they're hearing all these advanced terms and all these advanced metrics. I think really the impetus of getting involved in Curve player development was to also help simplify player development for a lot of kids, and just understand that, yeah, ball flight is really important, whether you pitch it or whether you hit it. What the ball does ultimately is going to dictate what happens on the scoreboard, and it's going to dictate your opportunities to advance in this game. But if you want the ball to do better things, and if you want the ball flight, whether it's your velocity or whatever, to improve, then you got to improve your body. And that's where we have a unique and awesome advantage with Curve, is we've not only are unlocking the body, we're using computer vision technology through our partners at ProPlay AI to be able to assess the body with the cell phone, and then prescribe custom corrective exercises for certain body parts with baseball specific drills. So now, instead of just guessing what should I be working on and how am I going to work on this or that or the other thing, we're getting much more laser focused in on exactly what's going to help each player improve. So tying this all back into the originally why I got involved with the foundation, it's you're giving coaching access with the people you mentioned, like Pat Casey and Tracy Smith and Kevin O'Sullivan and yourself, Gerbs, and all the really, really smart people behind Diamond Allegiance and behind Curve, and all these great travel programs that have partnered with us, the best of the travel ball industry, who have great coaches inside of them, and everybody's putting their ideas together. And we're able to help these kids get better in a way that is going to accelerate their player development than if they were just doing drill after drill on their own, kind of wondering if it would work. Now they know this is something, because we have this test retest model inside Curve, they know they can track their progress, and they can see how they're developing, and they can touch it and feel it, and it's tangible, and they know it's working.
Yeah, that's great. And I think a couple of things you said just kind of jumped out at me, Coach. And one is, this idea of bringing together just really good baseball people, right? And obviously we've been able to do that at the collegiate level with our board of directors, which you're part of. And the core of what we're doing is like you said, is to be able to provide the most opportunity we can to the most kids, and being able to bring this knowledge base, into the living room of thousands of kids across the country really excites me, right? And as a former travel ball owner, I think one of the things that I always struggled with was trying to make sure that kid one had the same experience as kid 500 or kid whatever number it is in your organization, right? And being able to provide the same level of service across the board. And I think that that's something from the player development side that this app is going to enable us to do. For those that aren't familiar with it, Coach, if you wouldn't mind just kind of taking us through, what the building blocks of Curve are. I know I heard you mention the test retest model, obviously, computer vision and the things that we're doing within the app. So if you wouldn't mind talking about that player development part of the app and how you built it out and what your vision was for it and how we're seeing it implemented today.
Sure. Well, again, it goes back to all they want to talk about is ball flight. And that's what you see on social media. That's what you see on the internet. And when you watch a major league game, it's exit velocity, it's launch angle, it's spin rate, it's pitch velocity, it's spin rate, spin efficiency. And it's all these metrics that not everybody knows how to improve those. And so the impetus of Curve player development is, well, let's understand the brain moves the body moves the ball. And this brain body ball approach in a very simplified way is going to help these kids unlock their potential. And even the star players, that player number one that, he's already got offers to go to college. Well, there's another level for him too, just like player 500, who might be a Division III player or is looking to just make his varsity team as a starter. This applies to everybody because everybody wants to improve their body's efficiency. And this is something that we've learned, we've stolen from the golf world. Instead of trying to cookie cut all of these players with this is how you hit or this is how you pitch, let's actually assess, not guess, how your body can move and what the mobility is of certain joints, and understand that there's not one way to hit or pitch. There's a million different ways to hit or pitch. But if we can help you understand what those limitations are physically for your body, then maybe we can help you build a better swing or build a better pitching delivery based on what your body can physically do. And that's really one of the major building blocks of curve player development, is assessing what the body can do. So we have mobility tests that are going to cover everything from the ankles all the way up to the wrists. And we are just being able to assess, where, as a rotary sport athlete, if anyone who puts their front foot down and turns, whether you're throwing a javelin, throwing a baseball, swinging a golf club, swinging a baseball bat, if you put your foot down and turn, you play a rotary sport. And a lot of the movement patterns are similar. And so what we do is understand how that sequence works, and understand that the hips and the middle of the back is kind of the center of the universe, and getting the ability to maybe unlock the hips and unlock that part of the spine for players can unlock their potential. It can make their arm move faster. It can make their bat move faster. It can increase the speed with which they do their movements. And for a lot of these young kids, those speed-based movements where we can not only make their body move faster, but move more efficiently, that's when you'll find that there will be that uptick in bat speed. There will be that uptick in velocity. And those are the things that we're chasing. And when we test those, and then we prescribe corrective exercises. So for example, if we were to test somebody's hips and it looks like they're a little bit immobile, and now we're giving them mobility drills for their hips, and then giving them hitting or pitching drills that actually also work on that same body part, that's where the what I think makes curve really unique is there's a lot of ways to assess. You can go and get one-on-one assessment. You can figure out how, have a physical therapist or a trained professional do this, but to be able to do it with computer vision, with the cell phone, to make it user friendly, to make it simple, to make it to where a kid can do it at his house, he can do it with his coach in a facility, and then get a custom set of corrective exercises plus baseball drills. The plus baseball drills part of this is one of the unique separators of curve as well, because there's not many that, not any, I think we're the first that is able to do computer vision technology with custom correctives with baseball drills on top of that. So those are the building blocks. Those are the cool things. Those are the things that are really going to make a difference for kids because of how simple and user friendly it is, but it works. These are the same drills we're doing at Clemson. These are the same high level drills that a lot of top college programs are doing. And it's getting a lot of good information into the hands of a lot of kids without having to go seek out certain people. And you can do it in the ease of your own home, and you can do it in the ease of your own travel ball facility or wherever you are. That's what makes it great.
Yeah, and that was one thing I wanted to touch on. A lot of the things that you're talking about as a coach, obviously myself that works with hitters, have done that a very long time. Something that I couldn't do, I don't have the knowledge base of, right? Obviously I could study it and I could get to know it, but then the fact that you would have to go and test every kid and then write a custom plan, right? That can be tedious. So one thing I really think is cool that we've done through Curve is give coaches the space to be to be a coach as well, excuse me, where we're giving custom correctives, we're giving a daily plan, but coaches that want to take that to the next level also have the ability to add their own drill work and add that into a player's plan, right? Because you're never going to replace that relationship, right? That in the cage, on the mound, in the bullpen, those type of things. So the coaches that have their fingerprints all over these kids, if they want to, being able to add on to those prescriptives is something I think is really cool. Would you mind walking us through, like, what is the testing? Like, what if I were a kid and I were going to do the testing? What is it? How often do I do it? And if I were a person with no baseball knowledge, could I assist in doing those tests, or is this something that's, you've got to be a coach or have to know what you're doing? Would love to hear those answers. So again, what is it? How does it work? What are we testing? And can mom and dad help? Can a coach that doesn't know about mobility, can he help with the testing?
Sure. Well, that's where honestly we've tried to make it simple for not only the user, which is the kid doing the drills and performing, but the parent and the coach who doesn't have the certifications or doesn't have decades, specializing in this field. And that's where utilizing computer vision takes the guesswork out, because a lot of the testing that takes place right now, certainly inside of our own college programs, is manual testing, like you mentioned. And that's really hard. That's very time consuming to do when you have a player development or you have an organization, a travel ball organization with hundreds of kids. So being able to do it through the cell phone eliminates the guesswork for the parent. Whether is that a pass, is that a fail for the coach? How should I score that? We're scoring it for you. All you got to do is hold the phone up, and I know everybody can do that, and we try to make it very simple. So the testing, it's a few different tests, but basically it really centers on hips, thoracic spine, and then some dynamic movements that will test balance and posture. So we have some hip tests, we have some T-spine rotation tests where you're going to turn, and then we have some balance tests where you're going to hold your balance with one leg. You're going to do an overhead deep squat where we're testing your ability to maintain dynamic posture throughout an overhead deep squat with your arms up. The arms up piece is very important as well. We actually get a lot of information when we do that, from the ankles, the knees, the hips to the shoulders. So there's quite a few tests. We'll isolate the shoulder itself by measuring external rotation of the shoulder, which is so important for being able to externally rotate for hitters that are trying to match swing plane to pitch plane. For pitchers, that's that layback position where they generate a lot of their velocity from. So it's all encompassing. Is it every single joint in the body? No, but is it the ones that are really important for hitters and pitchers? Yes. So it's very targeted, and again, it's eliminating the guesswork. There's so many drills that these kids can access online, and that's what we're trying to distance ourselves from, is try this. See if this works. The shotgun approach of, I'm going to give you 10 drills and let's see if one of them actually does something positive for your swing or your delivery. This way, we're actually assessing, well, what is the problem? Is the problem that your swing or your delivery, do you have a technical problem, meaning your mechanics just aren't good? Or is there a reason why you're swinging or throwing the way you're throwing? It's because of a physical limitation in your body. And just by testing that, a lot of times, yeah, I guess it could be I got a bad swing, or that was me, bad swing. But a lot of times there's some physical limitation. You need more mobility in your hips or thoracic spine, which is that mid part of the back here, and that's a very mobile part of your middle spine that is responsible for turning the body in a swing and in a delivery. So, and when those two things, the hips and the torso, everyone talks about separation between the hips and the torso. Well, if you lack mobility in the hips or the torso, you're going to lose speed, you're going to lose power, you're going to lose efficiency. It's going to be hard to repeat that swing and that pitching delivery, and you're certainly not going to maximize what you could be capable of from a performance standpoint. And that's what we're trying to unlock. Whatever everyone's next level is, whether it's junior college, Division III, Division II, Division I, or pro player, we just want to help everyone reach their potential. And we feel like we've got a really good product to help you do that.
Got a follow-up question to that. One thing we might have skipped over is we're testing mobility. We're also testing ground force as best as we can, and power, right? So we're doing a vertical jump test where we're able to gauge how much power the player is putting into the ground. We're doing several med ball throws that test core power. And the combination of that mobility and power, we actually spit out what we've termed the curve body score, which over time will become an indicative score of what level type player that kid is at that moment in time. Um, from a coach at your level, your perspective, is this stuff that works? Do you see when you implement this with your players? Do you see their numbers actually go up? Do they get better? Is this something that when kids do it, they can hope to actually see improvement on the field? Because again, I think that there's a lot of kids that show up to practice and they're going to do the same drills over and over again, and they don't necessarily get any better, right? So, what have you seen with using this type of player development within your programs over the years at your different stops?
Well, ground force is the thing that is largely responsible for producing, that power in the body. When you hit the ground hits back, and how you transfer that energy from the ground through your body and then out whatever you're holding on to, whether you're holding on to a baseball bat or a baseball, how you transfer that energy from the ground is going to determine how much force you're putting in, how much speed you're putting in, how efficient it is. And when you have things that are blocking that transfer of energy, in other words, when your joints are immobile and you have some sticking points, or by measuring just how much, by your ability to vertical jump, we're getting a reference point of, all right, this is based on your body weight and how high you're jumping. We can determine, what type of power you're putting into the ground, and then we'll test your core strength with a sit up and throw test, and then we'll also test your arm chop power with a med ball seated chest pass, and we'll be able to see. Are you deficient anywhere? Do you lack maybe some speed or some strength in that core or in those arms, or do you just need to work on more vertical thrust? You need to do more ground force stuff, jumping movements, box jumps, bounds, sprints, anything that's going to help you produce more force in the ground. And what we find is that the guys and girls that are able to harness that energy from the ground, and that it's like that wave of energy that moves through them, and if they can harness it the best, they're the ones that have the best movements. They're the ones that have the ability to generate the most bat speed, the most arm speed. And when they don't, and when there's a blockage somewhere, they lose some of that power. They lose some of that energy. And by power, I mean the combination of strength and speed. And that's really what power is. It's the combination of those two things. And every kid, and the younger you are, the more we're going to focus on the speed-based movements, because you may not be lifting weights yet, and you may not have hit puberty yet if you're a young guy. So these programs, they can scale all the way down to young kids. I've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, and we're doing speed-based movements. They're not lifting weights,
Yep.
but we're doing speed-based movements and talking to them about the importance of ground force. And I may not say the word ground force to them, but I'm telling them they need to jump, and they need to backpedal, and they need to sprint, and they need to, work on those things. And so it's not too early as a young player to work on your speed. A lot of times these young kids are in these windows where they really have opportunities to improve their speed. They don't have, they haven't hit puberty yet. They don't have testosterone. They don't have these things where they're going to get in the weight room. So having a foundation of speed in their body and being able to use the ground for some of that speed is really, really important. And the vertical jump and measuring energy from the ground is never going to go away. That's important at every level of sport, in every athlete. It's just a great indicator of measuring force from the ground.
Yeah, and I think one thing we've skipped over is not only are we going to give those daily routine that changes every day for the mobility that they're going to do, the baseball specific drills that they need to do, and again, dynamic changing from day to day. But we're going to do this test retest model every 12 weeks. every quarter essentially. In addition to that, they're also going to get strength and conditioning programs that are based on the way that their body moves, based on their age, like Coach Bakich said. So again, really being able to give a blueprint for that player to work on his game, work on his body, and hopefully see changes on the field. I'm going to throw one or two more questions at you, and then we can open it up for Q&A for our participants if there's any questions. But we've talked a lot about the body. I know you said something about brain, body, and ball. Currently, our app Curve, like most apps and most things in life, or everything in life, is living and breathing, right? It's a thing. It's going to continue to evolve. What do you see as the future of Curve? We've talked about the body, but what do you see coming down the line, and what's your vision for tying this all together?
The brain component of this, Matt, is like you said, it's a living, breathing thing. But in the short term, as we test, retest, and get these body improvements with the body score, the brain component is next. And in the immediate term, the things that you and I and our group has talked about is, as these kids get into performance and as they get into competition, you have these stressors, these environmental stressors through just the normal gameplay, and you have all these things outside of gameplay, like wanting to get a scholarship, and fans and pressure and external factors. And so the brain component is, how can we determine and how can we help these kids slow things down so they can perform at a peak level, their best level? And so before we get into the diagnostics of, okay, who's able to process and recognize, and who's able to, how are we able to understand how they process information, and are we going to make a predictive model on who we think are the top performers? The thing that we can incorporate, and this will be in coming up later this fall, is we're going to help these kids from a brain standpoint. We're going to give them mental game skills in a very simple way they can employ through competition, where we're going to teach them techniques for breathing. We're going to teach them techniques for self-talk, for visualization, and the same routine building mental game training that college programs like Clemson are doing, so that these kids can have this routine of how to down regulate, how to slow the game down, how to get themselves under control, so that themselves, the coaches, the parents can all recognize it, and these kids can perform at their highest level as consistently as possible. Because if we're really talking about these kids reaching their next level, the performance side of this can't really always control outcomes and stats and results, but we want to be as consistent as we can with their approach, pitch to pitch. And the brain side of this can really help these kids to slow the performance side, the competition side. You have the body part is the training. This is the practice. This is what they're doing off the field. The brain part really attacks that on-field performance, and it's really the separator of the two. And that's where you have one thing that can help them to build themselves from a body standpoint, and then you have another thing that can help them be consistent in games and in play. And that's really a key component for them to reach their next level. They've got to perform, and we're going to help them in order to do that.
So I've got a couple questions that have popped up, and if any of the other participants have any questions, you guys can pop them in the Q&A. But first one is, one of our participants said that they saw a video of you describing what's inside a Curve as pizza and French fries approach to programming. Would you mind describing what that means to you?
Sure. So pizza French fries is a story of me taking my children snow skiing. And this was a couple of years ago. My kids had never been snow skiing, and so we got them a lesson. And the instructor said, "Okay, kids, the first thing you're going to learn in snow skiing is how to stop. So I want all of you to go ahead and snow plow." And it's like my 3 kids plus like 10 other kids, and everyone's just looking at him like he's just spoke in another language.
Right.
And he says, wedge. And again, everyone's looking at him like sideways, like, tilted head, like, what's a snowplow? What's a wedge? Another instructor comes up and says, kids, if you want to stop, make your skis look like a piece of pizza. And instantly every kid made their skis look like a piece of pizza. And then she said, and if you want to go fast, make your skis look like French fries. And every kid instantly knew exactly what to do, how to stop, pizza, how to go fast, French fries, pizza, French fries. I just thought, that's
Make
genius.
it simple, right?
That's
Make it
so
simple,
simple.
stupid.
And that's what I just don't get is sometimes I listen to these player development gurus and they use all these 4-syllable words and they sound really smart. And there's a lot of adults that maybe understand what they're saying, but the kids don't, the players don't. Even at the college and professional level, they don't get it because you're talking way over their head and it's a too advanced terms. And I think for players to really understand player development and be able to do it, you have to speak in simple terms that create illustrations in their brain that can grasp what we're talking about here. And that's the beauty of our instruction, is our instruction and our drills, they are complex turned pizza French fries simple for the user. They understand exactly what we're working on without confusing them any further. And that's the cool thing I like about Curve is, and I'm a dad of the perfect age group, a 10 and a 13-year-old, and plus coaching 40 college guys, where we've got the perfect testing environment right now at this moment of time, because that's kind of the scale. We want to work with that age group, the kids that are, 10 years old all the way up through college. And so that's where it's been really, really fun, personally. Yep. And rewarding and satisfying is just, seeing how these kids can do these drills and understand what they're working on without getting frustrated because the explanation was too complicated.
Absolutely. Next question up is how is the curve score calculated? We've talked about the brain, body, and ball and the combination of getting a score for each. In your mind, I guess, what does that represent? And without going into too much detail with your algorithms and all that sort of stuff, but what does it represent to you? And on a layman's terms, how is it calculated?
Sure. So it's basically a 0 to 100 number that factors in a lot of things, but right now it's the body score, because the curve score is going to incorporate brain and ball at some point, where we're actually taking ball flight metrics of, against the average of the ages of your particular age group, whether you're 12, 14, whatever, however old you are, and then coming up with a ball score based on what the averages are within your group. But the body score is the one that's right now the one that's live and ready to go, and it factors in your mobility. It factors in the power that you're generating from the ground with the vertical jump and those med ball throws. And it with the testing that we're doing with the body, we get this body score. It's a combination of mobility and power in your body. We haven't put in a strength component yet. We have strength training. We have a training plan, but we're not testing strength. We're not asking people to max out. Yep. In strength. That's not part of the body score right now. We're more looking at the efficiency with which you can move your body and how you naturally are generating ground force. And that's being calculated inside of our curve body score. Eventually, when we add ball and when we add brain and some coaches' inputs, we'll be able to come up with a total curve score. But all in all, to summarize what this score is, this score shouldn't be looked at as good or bad. This score is looked at as, this is my opportunity to improve this score. And that's what player development is. It's not comparing you to somebody else. It's not good or bad. It's, can you improve? Can you be a growth mindset type person? And if you truly want to achieve your next level, then put the target on improvement and put the target on growth. And can you make your score better? And when we test quarterly every 3 months, can you make that score better? And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got two more, and anything else pops up, I'll add to it. But I think this one's a pretty interesting question, and we have, obviously there's a cost to using the app, and it comes out to about $20 a month. With getting access to this type of information, the testing through ProPlay AI, the custom correctives, the custom drill work, right? All the things that come together. Would you just talk in your mind like what that value proposition is and how excited you are to be able to offer that, to the travel ball community, to high school coaches, to college coaches, whoever it is that wants to use this, and essentially the access that's being gained at such a great level, and being able to just give that to a bunch of kids. So if you could comment on that, that'd be great.
Sure. I mean, look, everything is an investment, and everybody, whether you're buying gym equipment or a new bat or a new glove, or paying your travel ball fees, or for a personal trainer or private hitting lessons, you want a return on that investment. You want to know that it's working. You want to know that you're getting better. And I think that's what the great thing is about the associated costs with Curve, is you're seeing those results. This isn't something that you do once and you wonder, did that work or not? This is something that you have the opportunity to do daily, and you will see that return on your improvement. It's, of course, like anything in life, you get things out, you get out what you put into it. So there is going to be a commitment, but it takes what it takes if you want to play at the highest levels, or at least be the best you can be. But if nothing else, the return on the investment for you is, you're giving yourself a competitive advantage to reach your next level, because you're doing something that's endorsed by industry professionals. You're already with these great travel ball organizations. You're doing it with your peers. It's fun. It's not your boring drills. They're custom designed for you. You've got this shared experience with your peers and your teammates. So yeah, it's an investment. It's not a something that you see player development costs out there that are in thousands and thousands, and this isn't that. This is something that every player can utilize, and it's a great feedback tool for where they are at this current time, and gives them a custom plan then for how they can improve. And the return on that investment, knowing that they are getting better, or knowing they're at least putting themselves in a position using the right stuff to get better, that's pretty good peace of mind right there.
Absolutely. And the last one, when it kind of flows right into it, is who would you recommend the Curve app to? What type of people should be using this? I'll leave it at that.
Great question. I would say that this applies for the athlete and the family that want to improve, that genuinely want to get better. This is not some immediate gratification, quick fix, magic pill. This is going to require, we're going to give you the template. We're going to give you the exercises, but you got to do them, and you got to do them with intent. And so I'd say this is for the athlete that and the family that wants to improve. That's who this is for. This is for anyone who wants to get better. That's who Curve is for the athlete that wants to get better.
Love it. Coach, definitely appreciate your time tonight. I know that you're busy building your new program there up in South Carolina. I know everybody on the at the Diamond Legions team's excited to watch the Tigers in action this year. Really happy for you, but definitely appreciate your time. Is there anything you want to throw out there to top us off here tonight?
I'm just excited to be a part of Diamond Allegiance, to be a part of Curve, to create friendships and relationships with guys like you, Gerbs.